Alright guys, so I'm going to be reviewing the Sony X900H to the right, and I'm using the Sony X900E for reference. Essentially, I think the Sony X900H is a good TV, but it will only stop at good. It's not great, fantastic, or any of those other superlatives. The reason for that is because the Sony X900H is just not beating out its older Sony X900E counterparts in things like contrast and color vibrancy and true to life color. It's a real big problem to me when I go into the picture settings and I know that Sony has ripped out features that we had before on the older Sony. One of the big things that I'm really sour about is under the motion tab with motion, you either set it to custom, auto, or you disable it altogether. You don't have smooth, you don't have standard. They took all those extra options away. And then when you go into Cinemotion, you don't have anything outside of auto or off. It's garbage. And it really pisses me off because they were hitting way heavier on the Sony X900E with these same exact options. Looking at the 900E over here, we can see that under the custom tab for motion, we have quite a few options: true cinema, clear, standard, off. And as you guys see, it's a great deal brighter. And under the custom for motion flow, this entire time, I actually had the brightness of the Sony X900E nerfed or turned down to match how dim the Sony X900H is. But the 900E gets significantly brighter. And that's something I wanted to draw out and kind of show you guys. Now, I'm using Clearness 1, which on this television, it doesn't have X motion clarity, which sees it getting brighter when you disable it. So again, that's something to think about. And again, looking at our Cinemotion options, we have high, medium, low, and off. And I just think it's a shame that Sony doesn't give you that same option or capability on the newer set. Continuing with the downgrades, Sony has ripped out one of the most valuable things in their repertoire, their smooth gradation feature. Under the clarity tab, you go down and it stops at the digital noise reduction, as I mentioned in prior videos. Well, then you go here, smooth gradation is a part of the settings on the older Sony. So it's something that is going to create banding, and it's going to make your TV look a lot messier than it ever should, and that's a big problem. Now, if you want to use the vivid mode, you can of course completely blow out your image like here and make your image look completely inaccurate, overly cool and sloppy, and it just will lose all benefits. You can definitely get a brighter image out of the Sony X900H, albeit it's not going to be the most impressive thing, and that's what I'm trying to draw your attention to. Now, let's take a moment to realize we've also lost a ton of picture modes. You lost a ton, and I can't stress this any further. Okay, so we have vivid, standard, and custom here. Okay, so I'm not seeing custom yet. You know, we have cinema, we have game mode. You don't have cinema pro, you don't have a cinema home option. It's just one cinema. Okay, so you've got game and you've got graphics over there. Okay, so we should stop right here at cinema. They read the same signal, so it's really troublesome. You don't have a sports option anywhere. Under animation, you don't have an animation mode. That's kind of like the graphics mode now. I mean, that's as close as you get. Going down to photo mode, I have photo vivid, I have photo standard, and I have photo custom. You only have one photo mode on this brand new option, on this brand new 2020 TV. They ripped out 3 additional photo modes. Not very good if you're a professional photographer looking to display images on this thing, or if you're just trying to sit around the house with the family and watch, you know, your pictures, or just use this as a spare mode altogether, right? And I think that's really, really annoying. You do have custom mode, but again, how much is it helping here? Okay, so I was mistaken for a second when I said that the animation is kind of like the graphics mode, because this TV does have a graphics mode, as you see here, which you do not have an animation mode anywhere in this TV. So you're seeing they ripped out quite a few modes. You're missing sports, you're missing 3 photo modes, you're missing animation, and I mean, you know, cinema pro modes. I mean, like, why are these things being ripped out? Now, going into the auto picture mode, you again only have on or off, where here you have a very important 24p sync option. This will allow you to sync up 24p hertz movies with 24p refresh rates. And again, it's really annoying. It's taking, again, something that you had on an older model, the same exact chipset here, okay? And you're missing out on features. The message with this particular Sony has been very clear from the beginning. They're going to downgrade you, and you're just going to either accept it or not. And while, yes, it does have decent picture quality, it's not enough to justify the amount of downgrades that they put into this particular model. The color is good, the motion is good, but it's just a good TV. It's, you know, you can't find the 900E anymore, but at the same token, it just feels like you've been shortchanged a ton, and there are very few people that are willing to say that word, downgrade. Right down to the way tone mapping works and all the various modes that you have. It's a very disappointing TV. It could have been so much better, but it is something I would recommend if you value HDMI 2.1, you do not feel like waiting for a better TV from Sony with HDMI 2.1, and you just want an HDMI 2.1 television that's good. This will do it for you. It is a good option, albeit it is not the best option, and I feel like, you know, Sony definitely shot themselves in the foot here. A lot of people have been asking, what do I think about the Hisense H9G in comparison to this? I think this will be a better option if you like HDMI 2.1. Otherwise, buy the Hisense H9G for everything else because it's cheaper and it's the better looking TV overall. And as far as input lag goes, it's more responsive on the H9G side of things than here on this particular Sony, albeit the input lag isn't terrible on this particular Sony. That being said, it doesn't have the same bells and whistles that you'd find on some LG sets like the LG C10, so if you were on the fence between this model and the LG C10, you might as well go with the LG C10 because they will give you better gaming features. At every turn that I look at it, though, when I look at this particular Sony, it just feels like a downgrade. And that's just coming from an older Sony and having a place of reference. Now, I'm sure if you're coming from a 7 or 6-year-old TV, this will be more than enough and more than adequate for you. But for me, as a particular user, this does not hit my fancy, and it's not doing it for me. I'm very disappointed by it. And of course, you can always, you know, calibrate and change the results. I've already professionally calibrated both of these displays, and that's the only reason why this Sony is getting as close to the 900E as it is. If you are reliant on the out-of-the-box experience by itself, you know, it's going to have good accuracy out of the box, but you are going to have to dial it in a little bit more. So that's just one of the more unfortunate sides of this kind of comparison. Either way, as far as a final review and a final assessment, I think it's a good TV, guys. I really do. The HDR performance could be better. I don't think it's fantastic. They don't even have a color space management system on this model, which again pisses me off because when you go into the advanced color options, it just stops at the 10-point white balance system. So you miss one of the biggest benefits to this TV, and I think it's a crying shame that Sony did it like this. They did not have to do it like this, and that's my point. That's why I'm so like upset, because I clearly see where this could be a phenomenal TV, and I know in all the ways where they've downgraded this TV to make it worse for the sake of selling the X950H above this model, and I'm not happy about that. And so, in a final read and a final assessment, it's a good gaming TV. The legs are a little ugly, they're misplaced, there's some downgrades. You know, you got to know about these things, but essentially you're going to be waiting for that HDMI 2.0 patch because it's not built in day one, and at least it's not at this point in July 1st of 2020. And I'm not happy with this particular television. I'm very disappointed. I think they could have done so much more for picture quality, accuracy. Again, it has a decent image. You can see it, but as you clearly see, look at the tone mapping on the older 2017 model and the tone mapping on the newer one, and it just kind of becomes clear. Now, of course, it's looking a lot more vibrant in the shades of cyan. That's one of the stronger colors that this particular Sony does. But again, you guys can watch the videos, and again, it doesn't do don't take this as an exact real-world representation, because it's not going to be there. But my thing is, guys, like, there are just entirely too many things that Sony took out, and they should not have taken out for you to truly enjoy the experience the way you're supposed to on a Sony set. And that's just as real as it gets. Do I recommend it? Yeah, if you really want a Sony TV, but ultimately I would wait for something else. That's as honest as it gets. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. If you have questions, ask them, but essentially, I'm done with this TV. I'm not going to be wasting any more time on it. A lot of complaints, and a lot of people are really sour that it's not being sold to you instead of just talked about honestly. And honestly, I'm not a salesman, so I don't care anymore. So if you have questions, I'll help you. But other than that, I'm pretty much done with this TV, and I'm going to be moving back over and talking more about the Hisense H9G, where people actually appreciate my input. That being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.